Hi, good morning, and welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. I'm Kristin Omdahl, and this is episode 897. We are here live in Southwest Florida at the beach. This is the beautiful Gulf of Mexico behind me. If you are joining me live, please say hello. If you watch the recorded version, please always feel welcome to say hello as well. If you have questions for me, ask them live or ask them in the comments, or just let me know what you've been working on. Hi Lisa, hi Rita, good morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Anybody do anything special? Did you do any special crafting? Good morning Patricia, Lily, Joe, Leona, Grace, Judy, Consuelo, Naomi. Happy Monday. Good morning everybody. Hi Kat. Where's my water? Hi Suzanne and Barbara. Christina, Diamond Girl. Hi Enderby and Sharon and Anna. Hi Kathy and Nora, good morning. Nora's been working on the fantastical crochet vest. That's awesome. I designed that one for Vicki Howell's show. What was it called? Oh my gosh. What was the show called? I went to Austin, Texas to tape it. Does anybody remember what the show was called? It was the show she did for her YouTube channel. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the name. Anyway, if you search Fantastical Crochet Vest on my website, it will send you to a blog post that the Knit Show. Thank you, Nora Sue. It was called the Knit Show. And here's a great example of a question someone asked me the other day. I designed that Fantastical Crochet Vest exclusively for her show, which brings me back to the question that I was asked recently, which was, why do I not own the rights to all of my designs? Yes, it seems like a very reasonable question, doesn't it? Intellectual property should be owned by the person, right? Hi, Melissa and Jane. And sometimes larger publications, or, I guess Vicky's show, the Knit Show doesn't fall into the category of larger publications like Vogue Knitting Magazine or any of the other big ones, but it depends on what the company wants, what they're willing to pay you, and sometimes, and I'll get back to the pay scale in a second as well, depends on what they're asking, and you either agree to it or you don't. And sometimes, because of the level of exposure a designer can get by doing certain things, they offset the cost of what they would get paid doing things in other ways in order to let go of the rights so that they can get the exposure of said publication. So for example, anything that I designed for other people's books, like when I've been a varied artist contributor to a book, I usually don't get my rights back from that. Many magazines, Interweave Crochet and Interweave Knit Magazine, both gave me the option of having my partial rights or exclusive rights, and the pay scale was different depending on which one you choose. But with, for example, Vogue Knitting Magazine, all of the Soho publications, all of the Annie's publications, and the Knit Show, for example, asked for exclusive rights. Yarn companies, as a designer, if you work for a yarn company, it's usually exclusive rights. And sometimes you get paid accordingly. You get a better pay for doing exclusive rights, and sometimes they just know that you're going to get more exposure based on what they're offering and what they're going to do with the design, that you get forced into choosing or agreeing to something that maybe you don't want to do. So certainly I wish that I had the rights to all of my designs, but I've made choices over the years based on the types of exposure that I wanted to allow someone to limit my rights that way. Also, for example, any of my books that are still in publication, still in print, I don't have the rights to. I only gain the rights back to my own designs in my own books when the book becomes out of print. So for example, people ask me all the time to do detailed step-by-step full tutorials for projects from, for example, Crochet So Fine book. That book is still in print, and so I don't have the exclusive rights back to it. If I did, I could make the designs from the book in my yarns, sell the patterns individually, and do tutorial videos step-by-step through the whole project. But because I don't own the rights to them, I can't. Another example is a pattern that I did for another book. What was it called? Oh, I can't remember the name of the book. Anyway, I could bring it up when we're back at my studio one day. But I've done, there have been popular designs that I've done for other people's books over the years that also I don't have rights to until those books go out of print. And so I get questions about them, and I always have to send people back to the author or the publisher because I don't have the rights to share any more than, you know, it's very limiting. So, does anybody have any questions about that? Hi Melissa, hi Carrie. There's a squirrel here at the beach this morning, so cute. But it is a great question, and so as if budding designers or aspiring designers are asking about it, I would say you have to decide how important is what the company offering you. What is it worth to you? If you think that the exposure you're going to get from ABC company is going to be worth more than the money you would make or what you would be able to do with the design after the release in their publication or in their show or whatever, you have to decide if it's worth it. Sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is more important to keep the rights to your design so that you can then make your videos and make your and make the pattern for sale individually as well. So I'll wait and see if there's any questions about that. In the meantime, I'll just keep moving on other things that I wanted to show you this morning. But if you have questions about exclusive and non-exclusive rights to designs, please let me know. Like I said, I think it's based on the kind of company that you're working with, what you think you'll gain by letting them do all the marketing, and what you think you would gain if you had the ability to market your design yourself. Sometimes as an aspiring designer, the company's going to do way more than you are, but you know, losing control of your brand also has its downsides too. So again, if you have questions, we can continue talking about this, and if you don't, we can move on. I did want to show you that I did make a headscarf over the weekend, like I said I would, in Be So Sporty yarn in the new colorway Tango. Thought you might like to see how this is worked up. I just did a simple corner-to-corner design. If you're familiar with that type of design, there'll be a pattern and a chart for everything. Obviously, it's not blocked yet, so it's a little smidge smaller than what it will be once I block it, but I thought you might enjoy seeing what this gorgeous color looks like worked up. Isn't it beautiful? I love it, and I can't wait to wear it. Like I said, it's just a little smaller than it needs to be for a headscarf, and that's because it's not blocked yet. It only took me one ball of Be So Sporty to do this, and I'm thinking about doing a knit version as well. Also doing it on the bias because I thought that was so much fun. So for the crochet one, I did corner to corner, which if you're familiar with that sort of technique, you could already pick this up and start it. I used one ball of Be So Sporty. It's around 22 inches square right now. I think it might be a smidge bigger once I block it. It'll have even a little more drape than it has now, and I used a 4mm hook. And that's colorway Tango, which has some gorgeous bright raspberry and darker tones of raspberry and black and dark green and some chartreuse and lime green. There's a little bit of purple in there too. So pretty. Brand new color in Be So Sporty yarn. If you weren't on the podcast on Friday, or you didn't get emails from me on Thursday, you might not know that there are 12 brand new colorways in Viso's 40 yarn right now, and this is one of the 12 called Tango. Does anybody have any questions about that? Thank you. I think it's gorgeous too. I cannot wait to finish it and wear it. Oh, and anybody that wants to get started on it now, I did corner to corner for the whole piece, and then I did a round of simple single crochet around the entire edge, and that size took one whole ball of Viso's 40 yarn. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Melanie. Yeah, you could definitely wear this as a scarf too. This size will work as a scarf. You could wear it around your neck and tie it, no problem. I'm just gonna wait to block it until I show it to you around my head, but you could absolutely wear it as a scarf too. Not only tie it, but imagine just pinning it. This would be a great design. Or you could loosely tie it too. You could loosely tie it, or you could pin it as well. So cute, but I'll show it to you as a headscarf once I block it. All right, so remember last week when we were doing color theory, I really need to make up that last swatch for my color board in forest green. It's the only color that I seem to have lost in all the moving around of stuff. So I'm gonna make the last swatch for that board in a simple granny square. I thought about bringing my table down here this morning so I could show you making the granny square, but then I left it in the car and it would take a while to go back and get it, so we'll just keep going. I also brought my yarn needle in case you wanted me to do a quick demo on weaving in ends and talk about that, which we could totally do once I finish this motif. Doris says my career is very extensive. How do I remember which designs I have rights to and which ones I don't? Well, you could certainly refer back to your contracts, but in general, I remember which companies did what. I mean, I found it pretty easy to remember over the years, and anything that I don't remember, I certainly could go back and check my contracts. That would be easy enough to do if you've kept good records. But I do remember, but I have found it real, because certain publishers have certain rules. So it's like anytime you do something with that publisher, you know what's going to be the case. And if you are not sure, or if a publisher gave you choices, for example, Interweave Press used to always give me choices when I would design for their magazines. They did not give me choices in my books, but they did give me choices in the magazine. And so I would just need to go back and refer to my contracts. You always sign a contract when you do stuff like that, so there's a record. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Marcia. Good morning. As soon as I finish this little swatch, we can talk about weaving in loose ends. Great questions about exclusive designs and contracts, though. These have been great questions, and I hope they've been helpful to anybody who might be starting out or considering starting out as a budding designer. Hi, Constance. Good morning. Would you get in a lot of trouble? I guess it would depend on how much somebody wanted to fight you for it. I mean, if you sign a contract and you break your contract, you know, I don't know what the repercussions are, but it doesn't sound like something I want to know. Hi, Faye. Good morning. Okay, so I've got my, yeah, the water is very smooth this morning. Very beautiful, too. Okay, so I've got my square done. For those of you asking, I'm making a square for my color theory board. Hi, Margaretha. Okay, I'm gonna thread my yarn needle onto one of my tails. Okay, and so I've got my tail in the center here that I always crochet around my beginning tail and the back side of my work, but if you were just doing swatches, that could be good enough, and in some cases it is good enough. But if you were making something that was going to last a long time, I would say keep going and wind more. You could keep winding around the stitches that covered the tail in the beginning, but I would recommend turning your work, skipping that first thread that you just wove through, and going back through in the opposite direction then, like this. I turned my work. Now, if you turned your work and went back in the opposite direction exactly the way you went out, you would unravel what you just did, right? If you went back in, if I went back in exactly where I just came out and went out the same exact spot I went in, I would unravel my work. So you want to skip the first thread when you're turning in the opposite direction. And by doing that, anytime you change direction when you're weaving in loose ends, you make the weaving in a lot more secure. That much harder for it to come back out. Okay, now I'll take, I didn't bring scissors with me, so I'm not going to be able to cut them, but that's okay, I can do that when I get back. Now, it's different when you're working at the end of a project here. I find that anytime you can work in a stitch instead of chains, you have more areas to secure your work. And I do prefer to work on the back side of the work. So for me, I'm going to weave down that first stitch closest to the tail to try to get into that space here that has those wraps that go. So this is where those double crochets went around the chain of the previous round, which kind of mimics what we did in the first round here. So I like getting back to spots like that, because once you get back to that spot, then weaving back and forth becomes a lot easier. And it's changing the direction that really helps secure your work. So now I've kind of worked my way down that stitch, and now I'm in a section where the stitches were covering, where there's several stitches together covering the chain. And so I'm going to work across those, across that base, pull my yarn through. I should probably do a proper video on this too, and then I'm going to skip the first thread before I work back in the other direction. So I'll skip the first thread so that I don't unravel my work. And now I'm going to go a little further along those stitches to go in the other direction. Okay, so now I've gone across the whole corner. Now I'll turn, skip the first thread again, and go back. See, so I skipped the first thread, and now I'm going back. Okay, and now I've gone in 3 directions. I feel like that's very secure. If I had scissors, I'd just snip these right now, but I don't. So that's where I will leave them and snip them when I get back to my office and attach them to my board. We will do another color theory day on the board this week, because I feel like there's a lot more to discuss and a lot more ways to combine colors, and also a discussion on why green can be a very neutral color when you're thinking in terms of nature inspiration. Because anytime you see trees, plants, flowers, what's the common denominator? Leaves, right? So whether you're going to focus on a tree that has beautiful bark and leaves, then you'd go into some browns and some greens, or some tropical flowers that have different shades of pinks or purples or yellows or oranges, you still have green leaves. So I think it'll be really fun to combine greens with other colors this week to do some nature-inspired palettes. So we'll do, now that I have all of my greens represented again, we'll go back and do that on the board this week. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions about that. If you have not already entered to win last week's giveaway, you would go to episode 890 from last Thursday. Or is it 890 or 895? 895. Today's 897. So if you go to episode 895 from last Thursday, giveaway is in the title to help you find it. You leave one comment there, you'll be entered to win this week's giveaway. And this week's giveaway is a ball of Be So Baby yarn, and I will be choosing 5 winners. So you just need to leave one comment there, 1 comment per person, and I will randomly choose 5 winners this Thursday when I'm in my studio. Can I show pink dragon fruit and Be So Fine? Yes, it's a bright hot pink, if that's what you're asking about, but sure. All right, any other questions? I would really like to stay here. Man, this is so beautiful, but I've got so much to do, so much going on, so much to do. All right, I don't see any other questions, so I just want to thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed the beach, the sound of the waves, my show and tell, chatting with me and everyone else here. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful day, everybody. I will see you tomorrow for the next episode of Create, Share, Inspire podcast. Bye-bye.